DESTINATOR by Michael Doan. Narrated by Diva Precious. September 24, 2022, Sabbath, Saturday. 4:16 afternoon. Chapter 4. Integrated Planetary Earth Calendar, IPEC. The appreciation of whatever worth the accumulated count of yours, summed up, will not come at the last part of these articles, but even in the early stages. Consider the 3,578 years counted from Adam's appearance to the fall of Jerusalem, destruction of the Holy Temple, which could be found nowhere in any book known to man. Yet, the records of the Holy Bible provide the particular records, reports, and narrations from where these 3,578 years came from were written by different persons in different places and occasions and far apart from each other in moment of happening. Before proceeding to other matters related to this uninterrupted, continuous descending years from Adam's appearance and moving to our age, it would be of great interest also if we now deal with one unique calendar first. Experience will show us that man usually devises some form of a calendar out of his need to remember and indicate the passage of time in relation to his activities. But from these 3,578 years in the records of the Holy Bible, the situation is different. There now arises a need to devise or construct a calendar for the purpose of producing a simple, final arrangement of human activities, events, and important matters which have occurred in the past. The establishment of an orderly record of these facts through the use of a calendar will consequently require the continuous usage of such a calendar. The unique feature of this type of calendar is that it came out by itself from already existing facts and operating principles affecting man in his home planet Earth. With the present form of calendar that the majority of Earth's population use today, and with its almost smooth function, the introduction of another type of calendar will surely meet strong resistance for a change. Notwithstanding, there is a necessity requiring its presentation as dedicated by the developments of the circumstances and events discovered by way of research in this written work. The year, the month, the day, and the hour are fitted and synchronized into a clocking form of function. in such a way that it shows an orderly existence of a situation affecting man in his environment. It is an admissible fact that our present type of calendar and world clocking system are still in need of improvements and adjustments, and it is because of these reasons and in the light of some interesting discoveries that a bold attempt is hereby advocated for the purpose of introducing a type of calendar nearest in achieving perfect function. A brief background information concerning the development of the present type of calendar and clocking system must be considered in connection with the emergence of what could be considered its final desired from based on its functional operations. A day is the amount of time it takes the Earth to rotate once on its axis. A month is approximately the time it takes the Moon to complete its full cycle, from new moon to new moon. A year is based on the time it takes the Earth to travel once around the Sun. The trouble was that the unit of time based on the movements of the Moon and the Sun didn't divide evenly into one another. It takes a little less than 365 1/4 days for the Earth to make one revolution around the Sun, and a month is about 29 1/2 days long. The Romans began basing their calendar on the idea that 12 lunar months make a year. Each lunar month from new moon to new moon is about 29 1/2 days. So, the Roman year came to 354 days. But the true solar year, the time it takes the Earth to circle the Sun, is just under 365 1/4 days. The Romans made up for the difference by adding an extra month every few years. When Julius Caesar ruled Rome, he found that the calendar was wrong by 80 days. The calendar said it was spring, but the season was really midwinter. Caesar asked the advice of a mathematician, Sosigenes, who told him the real year was almost 365 1/4 days long. So, Caesar ordered that each year should be 365 days with extra day added in February every 4th year to make the calendar come out right. Leap years would always be divisible 4. Caesar gave up also the lunar month and set a month's length at 30 or 31 days. Only February remained less than 30 days long. Caesar started his new calendar called Julian calendar in 46 BC. This year was referred to as the year of confusion. Some people believed he moved New Year's Day from March 1 to January 1. He added 2 months between November and December and another after February. As a result, the year 46 BC lasted for 145 days. After that, however, his 365-day calendar ran so smoothly that it kept time with the seasons for many centuries. But there was still a small mistake in this Julian calendar. The sun's year is really 11 minutes and 14 seconds shorter than the 365 1/4 day year recommended by Sosigenes. In 1,600 years, this added up to 10 days so that the vernal equinox, the first day of spring, when the sun has reached the celestial equator and day and night are equal in length, occurred earlier and earlier. By 1582, it fell on March 11 instead of March 21. Pope Gregory VIII Pope Gregory XIII took the advice of the astronomer Christopher Clavius. He corrected the mistake by dropping 10 days, so that the day after October 4, 1582 was October 15. To keep the error from happening again, he decreed that century years, the first year in each century, even though divisible by 4, should not have the extra day in February unless they could be divided by 400. This AD 1900 was not a leap year, but AD 2000 will be. Catholic countries adopted the Gregorian calendar named for Pope Gregory. But Protestant and Greek Orthodox countries did not. 170 years later, England and her American colonies found that their calendar had slipped away from the sun's time by 11 days. They dropped these days in 1752, adopting the Gregorian calendar. Thus, Washington's birthday is February 22, New Style, but he was really born on February 11, Old Style. Russia did not change its calendar until 1918, and Romania not until 1924. That is why you may find two different dates for same historical events. People are still trying to reform the calendar, but so far, we continue to use the Roman calendar as it was improved by Pope Gregory XIII. Reference, New Book of Knowledge, Volume C, pages 11 to 13, 1967 edition. The international date line is an irregular north-south line that runs along or close to the 180th meridian. It extends from the North Pole to the South Pole. This line separates the region of the earliest and latest standard time on the Earth's surface. On the western side of the line, the time is always 24 hours or one full day, later than on the eastern side. For example, when it is 6 p.m. Friday on the western side of the line, it is 6 p.m. Thursday on the eastern side. Let us see why. Beginning at the prime meridian, 0 degrees longitude, which runs through the site of the original Greenwich Observatory in England, the Earth is divided into 24 standard time zones. Each time zone is 15 degrees longitude in width. The Earth rotates eastward at the rate of 15 degrees longitude an hour. Therefore, the standard time in each zone is 1 hour later than in the zone to the west and 1 hour earlier than in the zone to the east. Suppose it is 6 a.m. Friday at the prime meridian. What time is it in the standard time zones of the latter half of the world, from the prime meridian east to the 180th meridian? Each eastward zone is 1 hour later than the preceding zone. Therefore, this half of the world shows all hours from 6 a.m. Friday to 6 p.m. Friday. The latest time, 6 p.m. Friday, is found at the 188th meridian. What time is it at the same moment in the earlier half of the world, west of the prime meridian? Each westward zone is 1 hour earlier than the preceding one. Therefore, this half of the world shows all hours from 6 a.m. Friday at the prime meridian to 6 p.m. Thursday at the 180th meridian. This means that on opposite sides of the 180th meridian, the time differs by 24 hours or a full day. Here are the latest and earliest times on the earth. And since the western side of the 180th meridians, this is where each new date begins. Why did the nations of the world select the 180th meridian for the dividing line between Earth's earliest and latest hours? The answer is that they wanted to avoid all possibility of having two different dates in nearby villages or towns. The 180th meridian runs largely through ocean rather than land. Furthermore, by swerving away from the 180th meridian at a few places, the land is avoided by the line entirely. This zigzag dividing line is the international date line. In the North Pacific, the international date line swerves away from the 180th meridian to pass between Siberia and Alaska. It swerves again at the Aleutian Islands. In the South Pacific, the international date line leaves the 180th meridian north of the Fiji Islands and returns to its south of New Zealand. When ships and places cross the international date line, they must charge the date on their calendars to correspond with the area they are moving into. Ships going westward from San Francisco to Tokyo, for example, advance the date as from Thursday to Friday. Ships going eastward set the date back as from Friday to Thursday. In a westward crossing, this may mean the complete omission of a calendar day. In an eastward crossing, a calendar day may be repeated. Let us consider these records from the Holy Bible and their undeniable relevance in marking the passage of time flow on earth. Joshua chapter 10 verses 12 to 13. On the day that the Lord gave the men of Israel victory over the Amorites, Joshua spoke to the Lord. In the presence of the Israelites, he said, Sun, stand still over Gibeon. Moon, stop over Aijalon Valley. The sun stood still, and the moon did not move until the nation had conquered its enemies. This is written in the book of Joshua. The sun stood still in the middle of the sky and did not go down for a whole day. The foregoing records in the Holy Bible tell exactly about events which took place in Joshua's time from the observer's point of view on earth. The reporter of that heavenly phenomenon understood then that it was the sun revolving around the earth, and when they saw the sun stood still in the middle of the sky, they honestly thought that it was the sun which remained motionless, but actually it was the other way around. Science has discovered, and we are now aware, that it is the planet Earth which revolves around the sun. And with this knowledge, we can accurately determine that it was the Earth which actually momentarily stood still in its revolution around the sun as well as in its rotation on its axis. As described, that the sun stood still in the middle of the sky. This clearly shows that it was exactly 12 high noon. As the sun remained at 12 high noon position, its length or duration lasted about 6 hours, as correctly stated, did not go down for a whole day. Putting it plainly, time stood still for planet Earth in such a way that at exactly 12 high noon, the normal flow of time stopped for 6 hours. As to whether or not the Earth's rotation stopped or was affected as a planetary body, it is an interesting subject for further study. Then, it flowed again until sunset for the delayed or remaining 6 hours of the whole day count at the time of the Israelites. A day then actually was the period of daylight or daytime as influenced by the beginning of the visible sunlight at dawn or sunrise until it disappears at sundown or sunset, lasting for about 12 hours. Please relate this fact about the day to the record appearing in John chapter 11 verse 9. Jesus said, "A day has 12 hours, doesn't it?" The records in the Holy Bible do not technically describe and explain such event, but what actually happened is easily understood in the light of present scientific knowledge. In another significant biblical record of similar nature appears in 2 Kings chapter 20 verses 10 to 11. Hezekiah answered, "It's easy to have the shadow do forward 10 steps. Have it go back 10 steps." Isaiah prayed to the Lord, and he made the shadow go back 10 steps on the stairway set up by King Ahaz. This event is also recorded in the book of Isaiah chapter 36 verse 8. Archaeological evidence suggests that the stairway referred to in this passage was one specifically constructed to tell time, which is a form of a sundial in the steps. The particular 10 steps were measurement in degrees, one step being marked on a sidereal time on its own axis at 15 degrees per hour. taking 24 hours to make one complete 360 degrees turn. We can produce some value or measurement of the Earth's movement. Take notice that in order for the shadows on the sundial or the stairway to be able to move in a backward direction, the Earth's direction of rotation has to be changed in direct positional relation to the Sun, the source of the ray of light producing the shadow. These records from the Holy Bible are cited for the satisfaction of the curious mind and for further detailed analysis in connection with time passage on Earth and in consideration of the direct natural consequences thereof. From the records of the Holy Bible, as appearing in Exodus chapter 12 verses 1 to 2, the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in Egypt. This month is to be the first month of the year for you. It is clear that the very first month of the year during that time was established by God and not by man, and so far as the Israelites were concerned. The establishment of that first month by God was in direct relation to the unforgettable event about the Israelites' freedom from the bondage of Egyptian slavery when God set them free. These recorded facts are not only religious but clear historical facts insofar as the nation of Israel is concerned. Israel's history as a nation is worth considering in its influence on a worldwide scope. Prior to the moment when God established the first month of the year on account of the freedom of the Israelites from Egyptian bondage, was a calendar already in existence. How many days were there in 1 month? How many months were there in 1 year? When was this calendar adopted by the Israel? Who devised this calendar? What were the factors considered in producing such type of a calendar? Comparing this calendar with the first old Roman calendar, what are the similarities and differences in the count of the days, months, and years? As a religious calendar, this type used by the Israelites functions effectively. Will it still be functional other than as a religious calendar on a global scope? In the light of the present technologies and some acquired knowledge about the passage of time for the planet Earth, what will be the role of this calendar used by the Israelites in relation to the much improved Gregorian calendar which evolved from the old Roman calendar? In the endless flow of time on Earth and elsewhere, before man was able to comprehend and devise the means to identify and mark the passage of time, this time was already in existence and running. Any attempt by man to formally initiate the beginning of a formal marking of time by way of historical events must be one of global significance in order to gain acceptance and approval. As it is now, the world has several types of calendars in existence, all products of people from the different races and places on the surface of the earth. Isn't it a wonder? Man has explored the outer space, yet the fundamental system of a calendar continues to elude Earthmen. The Earth is a single planetary body and must have its own singular calendar system and clocking method as a member of the solar system. When will man come to realize the paramount need for these things vital to his orderly existence and progress? How old is the Earth? has been a question subjected to the most exhaustive study, computation, and gathering of evidences, yet there remains a big factor to consider, it being the method of definitely showing when time for planet Earth is properly identified, marked, and accepted by Earthmen as the start of the first hour, first day, first month, first year, on a global scope based on a single Earth calendar and planetary Earth timing system. In the absence of clear-cut determination as to the exact moment when the first countdown in the marking of the flow of time of planet Earth really begins, confounded by the fact that there is yet to adopted a precise and accurate method of count of the passage of time. Indeed, the task of providing the answer to this vacuum in human achievement is very delicate and challenging. Just like any pioneer work, to break the barrier of wilderness in the human existence is like drilling into a mountain of granite with bare hands and crude tools. Just the same, the tiniest crack is there, and constant pounding will break the strongest resistance. In this presentation is very well aware of these predicaments. For the satisfaction of the curious mind, it is respectfully presented here all the quoted biblical sources upon which the figures, number of years, ages of personalities, and duration of rules of the rulers are based. We are indeed fortunate that there exists a continuous series of year count factually supported by the accompanying significant events. Before we proceed with the time machine ride, on this time tracer, we must be aware that the records of the Holy Bible mark and indicated the year count in accordance with the biblical type of calendar indirectly formed by gathered and pieced together numerous narrations recorded concerning dating process in the Holy Bible. This year count is short of 29 days for every one solar year. The use of the solar year value was only adopted by biblical historians in agreement with world history dating from the moment of Abraham's entry to Canaan. Moving to the estimated count of 1st AD, there being no direct pronouncements and other specific datings in the chronological order of biblical events. Under the process of integration, the continuous year count is reconciled, starting at Adam's age of 130 years when he fathered Seth, going forward to our time, indication with detailed recorded biblical basis going to the fall of Jerusalem, destruction of the Holy Temple when Nebuchadnezzar's forces attack. It must also be remembered by the reader that there is no time conversion process here. It is only simple stretching of the shorter but continuous biblical year count into the flow of time, indication as marked in the solar year value. As we move forward to our present time frame and back to Father Adam's time, we will enjoy the thrill of reading history exactly when and where it happened. Just how one can accurately peg or attach the system of count in pinpointing exactly the date of when will it be at first puzzle one's mind, but again we must be thankful that the clear records of the Holy Bible point the way of a time tracer. With the dated fall of Jerusalem, destruction of the Holy Temple, and world history dating in BC. count as well as the earlier date for the entry of Abraham into Canaan. We have a solid foothold to anchor our time tracer method. It is clearly observable that a certain time linkage is in effect produced. As previously stated, the records of the Holy Bible show that the highest count of a numbered day in a given month was a 27th day, as written in Genesis chapter 8 verse 14 in Noah's time, and that there are 12 months in a year, as seen in 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 7 and 1 Chronicles chapter 27 verses 1 to 15. It must be noted that the Israelites were observers of the Sabbath, which uses the continuous count of the series of sevens, and the recorded 27th day in Noah's time is a clear indication of the active use of the series of sevens in a given month. Reaching the 28th day, the 4th, 7th, or Sabbath date. It is also noticeable that even in Noah's time, the 7th or Sabbath pattern of count of days was in active usage. Now, as scientifically computed, we have the information that the planet Earth revolves around the Sun on its elliptical orbital path, with a duration of exactly 365 days, 6 hours, 49 minutes, and 9.54 seconds for every one completed revolution. With a duration of exactly 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds, plus 4.09 NASA seconds accumulated for every one completed revolution, which we mark as 1 solar year. Source: World Book Encyclopedia Volume E-6, 1986, page 10. Simultaneously, 1 Earth rotational day is made by Earth as it completes 1 360 degrees rotation on its own axis, which takes 24 hours. Actually, 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.09 seconds. In my own observation concerning the present structure of the Gregorian calendar, the solar year is made to fit into the monthly division of 12 months, which are only man-made, named months, seemingly unchangeable from January to December. But unfortunately, if we persist in using this, it will never fit or find exact distribution. The moon's revolution around the earth for one complete cycle is 27 1/3 day, as distinguished from the moon's phases, new moon to new moon, taking 29 1/2 days long. The reason is that the earth has been moving in relation to the sun, and it takes the moon 2 extra days to return to its starting point in relation to both the sun and the earth. The moon completes 12 trips around the earth during a solar year, the time it takes the earth to orbit the sun once. But the 12 lunar months cannot be divided evenly into the solar year of 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, 46 seconds. The 12 lunar months end before the solar year does. May I please move that we retain the monthly division using the lunar or monthly terminology, only in disregarding the duration of 29 1/2 days, 27 1/3 days, 30 to 31 days. We must simply divide one solar year into several monthly division by using the series of sevens. That is, for every month, there must be only 4 sevens, reaching the 28th day count as the last day of a given month. Simply illustrated. 12 months times 28 days for every month, 4 sevens, equals 336 days biblical year count, plus 29 days for the 13th month, equals 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, 46 seconds. To be continued.